You can have one big thing. One.
Hello, and welcome to the Euro What, episode number 177 for the week of January 9th, 2023. We are a pair of Americans trying to make sense of the Eurovision Song Contest. I'm Ben Smith, and I'm joined today by Mike McComb. Hey, Mike.
Hello.
In this episode, we'll be talking about all the table setting for selection season 2023.
How is there so much stuff going on, and yet it feels like no progress has been made?
Yes, I am. With all the table setting, I am sitting at the table as the rudest dinner party guest, with a fork in one hand and my knife in the other, banging my silver on the table because I am hungry.
Yeah. I guess we should savor this quiet weekend because it's not going to be quiet for a while.
I should be appreciating this as like the calm before the storm, especially with February 11th looming closer and closer. But like, can one of you have a semifinal now? I don't need the national final right now. A semifinal would sate me. The qualifying heat.
Right. Or auditions in front of judges or something.
Something.
Yeah, an amuse-bouche of some sort of performance. So
yes. Amongst the many nations talking about their qualifying pools, Latvia has announced the details for Supernova and dropped the tracks.
Yay.
Yay! Nothing seems immediately as memeable as the first line of Eat Your Salad was last year, so I'm going to continue going in blind.
So that's going to be a tough act to follow, I think.
That's the sort of thing where you should not try to reproduce that. You should try to find something new and different and sidestep it. So we started with 15 potential entries, and one has already been disqualified.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed because this is not the only national final that has already had to rejigger their lineup a couple of times. But yeah, Laul and Finally Happy apparently was released in 2021. Who knew? Apparently the Latvian broadcaster didn't.
Amongst the names of note that are still in the running, Eusts, who was the last Latvian act to go to the grand final in 2016, is back. And Marcus Riva is trying to represent Latvia for the 9th time.
I'm genuinely surprised that Latvia has not internaled Marcus Riva at this point.
He wants to go. He wants to do this. Instead of Supernova one year, do a Riva for Riga. With 3 songs, we can vote on the song, we can send him, and he gets to live his Eurovision dream. Everybody is happy.
If Latvia wins at some point, it would be a good internal selection host entry. We don't have to try as hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Riva for Riga. That is good. Or if we could somehow get the Riva Biva or something.
Yes, the Riva Viva. Very Boston pronunciation, too.
Yeah.
The Riva Biva.
In terms of processes that will be getting started this week, Estonia has its semifinals on Thursday and Saturday. There are a few familiar names from recent Eesti Laul competitions. Sissi is back, Inger, Elisa, Weiralt. It's a simplified process compared to last year, which I appreciate. It's the 2 semifinals and the final, which will be happening. I think that's one of the ones that's on February 11th. The specter that haunts our dreams. But yeah, we do have a calendar on our website that's keeping track of all of this stuff with links to where you can watch these shows. You can find that at eurowhat.com/2023. What I like about Estonia is because of the time zone differences, and they seem to start this show particularly early. It's on at 11:30 in the morning, Chicago time, which I really appreciate.
More things need to start a little earlier in the day. February 11th.
Yeah, but not everything's starting earlier in the day, because then we're shifting the problem earlier. And it's like, why do I have to wake up so early?
Yes. No, things still need to be staggered. Mm-hmm. The other major process starting this week that feels very aptly named Malta's process is MESC. MESC.
Oh, I've been calling it Malta Festivalen, but I like your idea better. So.
I have been looking at its acronym and going, yes, MESC. Mm-hmm. Because there are 40 entries in this process. They're going to be presented over 4 heats. That would be fine if we were cutting it down to 2 from each of those, or maybe even 3 and a wild card from each of those. But no, 6 out of the 10 acts in each heat will advance, and then there will be a semifinal to cut that field from 24 to 16.
On the one hand, maybe they're trying not to hurt anybody's feelings since it is a small pool of singers to choose from in Malta. Otherwise, they're going to have to start bringing people in because it is a rather small country. But at the same time,
the notion of a semifinal is that we're going to knock things down by half, not a third.
Having the semifinal be twice as big as any of the heat, more than twice as big as any of the heats, and then the final still being 1.5.
Yeah, the math does not math.
Maybe if these performances are over the top fantastic, it'll be great, but we're going to end up seeing 16 of these songs at least 3 times on stage.
Yes. And we have multiple mononymous singers, sometimes with the same mononym. So one of you needs to be Stefan A and one of you needs to be Stefan C or whatever. There needs to be delineation.
At the same time, I am interested to see Malta take on this long form process. And even with their shorter form processes where there has been a semifinal of 80 songs getting cut down to 79 or whatever it was, that's an exaggeration. But yeah, there are some real... Gems isn't quite the right word, but I don't know. I think of Brooke's Heart of Gold.
Oh, yeah, no, I had that on playlist for years.
It's still in my main playlist. And I believe she's in the field this year, assuming it is the same Brooke. So, yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to that. And if anything, these preliminary heats are on Fridays, so it's going to be getting out of the traffic jam for at least a qualifying portion of it, and then it's going to be part of that February 11th set. So why?
Part of the maelstrom. We're just like, okay, cool. You guys pick one of your 16 entries, and we'll check in. I'm being kind of mean about their process, but it's because Malta has sent some genuinely good stuff over the years. I'm rooting for them. I would like them to win.
Happening on Saturday, Belgium will be holding their Eurosong competition. They have 7 artists competing. They each have 2 songs up for consideration at this point. This week, the contestants are performing the songs for each other and talking about which one should be the entry they compete with on Saturday. By the time this episode drops, the first episode of this sort of mini series would have aired on Monday. The field of 14 will get cut down to 7, and then we will see the 7 actually competing on Saturday.
That feels like a fun way to make this a whole week-long event. And also the watches too many Belgian game shows part in the back of my brain. It's just like, and what they don't know is that one of the artists is secretly the mole and is going to keep everybody from contributing to the pot.
One of the songs has actually been released back in 1987. I don't know.
And if they don't identify it, I don't know what happens at that point. They don't lose $10,000 from the pot. I don't know.
Sure. I think we've got a pilot here. We just got to work out a couple of the kinks.
Yes. Mike, we chatted last week about some of the changes that Norway was making this year, and I have bad news. There are going to be fewer dolphins than last year.
Dolphins?
On Monday, they announced the structure and who's going to be in each of the semifinals, and that's how I learned by throwing the article, which is entirely Norwegian, into Google Translate, that the word for semifinal also can be spelled the same way as the Norwegian word for dolphin.
Oh, huh.
One of those pull quotes is just, in addition to fewer dolphins, the last chance is also scrapped in this year's MGP. And I'm like, I don't recall that many dolphins last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, were there any dolphins in any of the shows from any of the countries last year? None are jumping to mind?
Nobody is into the whole Sega Echo Jams sort of deal.
Yeah. Maybe next year.
Think on it, Norway. What if next year, more dolphins? The other big announcement this year, before I dive into Dolphin Final 1, is they're allowing autotune. I don't love that.
I kind of want to see how it plays out before coming up with an opinion about it.
If somebody uses it in like a T-Pain / Shares Believe sort of a way, I'm fully on board.
Oh, that's interesting, because that would be the way that I would kind of be against it. Yeah, I mean, like I had to look up if live autotune was actually a thing. It's something that can happen in the moment to do sort of pitch and note correction. And yeah, I don't know. I like the idea that Norway is trying to push this forward and possibly be a test case for the EBU to look at. The challenge is going to be whatever song ends up winning, if it is one that uses autotune, particularly in the way that you're describing, unless there's a change in the rules, which I'm not sure can happen at this point.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to have to make some adjustments. So, yeah, it's a weird stance to take.
Yeah, it feels a really weird time to be like, great news, everybody, we're letting autotune. And it's like, okay, but is the EBU okay with that?
My guess is it has to do with one or two specific entries, and they're just like, oh, we don't want to give up this song just because it has this vocal effect on it. My suspect on this is Joust.
Joust is back this weekend in the first Dolphin final.
Yes, he incorporated some vocal effects in his 2017 entry, which caused some kerfuffles, I think would be the right way to describe it. But I think that was a contributing factor to allowing recorded backing vocals, which happened just a few years later.
Joust is not the only returning participant coming back to Melodi Grand Prix, specifically this Saturday, because we also have Kate Gulbrandsen, who represented Norway in 1987. And Ulrika is back.
Yay!
And I noticed that her song is co-written by one of the people who is supposedly a subwoofer.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah, Ben Adams, who is one of the members of A1, my favorite Norwegian/British boy band that has a Jakarta Mall incident section on their Wikipedia page.
Oh, yes, I remember that discussion.
Yes. It lives in my brain like the FedEx arrow. Right next to Subwoofer's Jakarta Mall incident. Ulrika was supposed to be their 2020 entry, and I thought attention was very strong. She's been listed as the troll in Maskorama, which I can only assume is the Norwegian version of the Masked Singer.
Yes, although I like the idea that there would be something else that they would make her a troll in. This is a completely unrelated project.
This is just another show that she played a troll in. But she's also recently been playing the lead role of Sophie in the musical Mamma Mia.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, and then looking at other Eurovision connections in this first semifinal coming up, Kate Gulbrandsen's entry is written by Ketil Moreland, who represented them a couple years ago too.
Okay. Yeah. I guess Norway also has a very dedicated collective to the Eurovision scene.
Yes, they do.
So, yep. Yeah, it's interesting that there are so many alumni that are packed into this one semifinal. Looking at the rest of the field, I don't think there was, at least nobody was jumping out as having previous Eurovision connections. So, I guess Stig van Eyck was their representative in 1999, and he's going to be in the third semifinal. But everybody else, it's kind of front-loaded.
Yeah, it feels very front-loaded. Like if they were doing the auto qualifiers thing again, I feel they would have spread those out one each week.
That could either make this a really great first show and not so great second and third show, or maybe the field is particularly strong this year. I'm hoping for the latter.
Yes, but that kicks off on Saturday.
A few other administrative things that are happening this week. As this goes out, we should know what Serbia's acts are going to be competing in their national final. Finland has been dropping hints of what acts will be competing at UMK this year. We're going to get the actual list of that on Wednesday. And they're going to do their standard one song per day drop of each entry starting on Thursday. Also happening on Thursday, Croatia will be dropping all of their songs for this year's Dora. So a lot of songs getting added to our playlist of selection season songs, and we're already at 100. It is the end of the first week of January. Taking bets now on how many songs will be in the final list. I think last year we did go over 500. Not sure that's going to happen this time because there are fewer countries competing, but at this rate, we should be at 400 probably by February 11th.
Yeah.
It feels like that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, that is going to sort of skyrocket exponentially real soon.
You can find our playlist on Spotify if you look up our Spotify account. It's also on our eurowhat.com/2023 page.
In terms of other headlines, the Czech Republic is excited that they are to announce that they are returning to a live national final with ESCZ 2023.
I am really excited to see what comes out of that process.
Same. I am so excited. They have been wanting to do that for a couple of years now, and the pandemic derailed that, but they've been doing such a good job with their selection. I'm so excited they get to do a live national final again. They
had done it before. I think this was when they were 2008 or 2009 was the last time, but that was before I was even following Eurovision. So well before my times, and they've been doing such a great job with their online selection process. It's only going to be 3 entries this time around instead of the 5 or 6 that usually comes out of the online process. They seem to have a plan, and I like how they're executing on it.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess we're at the time of year where Israel's participation in Eurovision is rumored to be, I don't know, will Israel be at Eurovision?
Every year, like clockwork, Israel will generally be in the process of choosing their person, and then there will be another news story. Will they be there?
This time, it's coming from the Times of Israel. Israel recently we had general elections and a new right-wing government is now in place. Shlomo Kari, who has since become the communications minister, made a comment about calling for an end to public broadcasting in Israel. One of the rules of being a member of the EBU is that it is a public broadcaster that offers news and other types of programming. After these comments were made, the EBU ended up sending a letter to the Netanyahu administration being like, hey, so we saw these comments and we're kind of concerned. No real action has taken place yet, but yeah, there have been talks about possibly dismantling Kan, which is Israel's public broadcaster. You may recall back in 2017, Israel's former broadcaster, I believe it was IPBC or something like that. There was another broadcaster set to take its place. And then Israel won in 2018. So it's just like, well, I guess we can't really get rid of our public broadcaster now. Yep. So it's been still kind of kicking around. And there's been moves in a few countries to raise the question on whether or not public broadcasting should be. There are eyes on this right now. I can't imagine things moving so quickly that it would affect this Eurovision, but 2024, I'll be curious to see what's going on.
Watch that space.
Yeah. They've already made so much forward movement at this point. They've already announced Noah Carell.
They've selected an artist and they're tossing around, hey, we have songs and we love the songs. The songs are great. This feels very par for the course with Israel because, again, every year they select an entry and then they're also like, but we might not be there.
Last year it was the security concerns, and then also there were reports that Michael Ben David did not want to go after all, and so much of it is rumor, speculation and stuff. So, but this one seems pretty legit because there's an actual letter that was sent from the EBU.
Another exciting rise of, oh no, a right-wing government doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Cool. So. In terms of the actual contest, Yellow Studio, who is based out of New York, is going to be overseeing the set design for this year's contest. Of note, they have done production design and set design for things like the 2022 Grammy Awards stage. Another thing that jumped out to me was they also did a bunch of the design for the recent special on ABC celebrating the 30th anniversary of Beauty and the Beast. Did you see that special, Mike?
I haven't watched it yet. It's in my queue, but I haven't gotten around to it. Did you watch it?
Yeah. So last month I was sick with COVID, and amongst the many things I watched while isolating, that was one of the things that jumped out to me as being great about that special was the design of the stage, because they did it essentially as a live concert with occasional clips from the movie.
Okay.
This is what Disney should be doing with all of their animated classics instead of making them into a weird live action movie that looks weird because you're going from animation to that. There's like an overall sense of taking the bigger musical numbers and reframing them or otherwise restaging them in a way that feels much more dynamic. And the way that they do the intro to the French Village and Belle was, I thought, really, really well done of sort of transitioning from animation to the real world.
Okay.
They had her and Josh Groban doing Belle and the Beast. So it was a real good lineup of singers as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Who was playing Six Eggs Lady? Was it Patti LuPone?
Really well thought out, and the main stage was really well designed, so I'm interested to see what they do with Eurovision. It feels like they're not going to have the problem we had last year of demanding that there be both the water feature and the kinetic sun.
Yeah, I have a feeling everybody's kind of learned their lesson from that one. You could have one big thing. One.
You can have one feature where if it breaks, we have to figure it out. We cannot have multiple things that break. Throughout the production, BBC Studios is working with their counterparts at UAPBC on the elements of the show, so I'm super excited to see how we get this wonderful confluence of all these things coming together.
I'm thinking back to the 2017 production and how much animation really took advantage of the video screens, particularly in the interval performances. There was one performance that Jamala did that I still think about it because it really reminded me of Peter Gabriel videos. And if they are maybe considering doing something similar to what you were describing, where there's animated stuff happening on the screen and then it transitions into something live action. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it feels like a good partnership. I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
We have 3 shows on Saturday and a couple of other things sprinkled through the week, and then foot on the gas at this point.
Yeah, anybody who has not scheduled your national final yet, I beg of you, not on the 11th.
Which, Latvia, why? You chose
You
this.
did this.
So
Yeah, 'cause
You
there's,
saw
like,
the calendar and was just like, me too. So,
even a couple weeks later, there's so much real estate available.
Lithuania, they were smart. They were just like, oh, 18th's wide open. Why don't we do that? Yes, thank you, Lithuania.
Thank you, Lithuania.
And there are other days of the week. Malta got that memo.
It's like a Friday, a Sunday. We will be here. We are ready. We are girding our loins. That's going to do it for this episode of the Euro What. Thanks for listening. The Euro What podcast is hosted by Ben Smith, that's me, and Mike McComb.
That's me. You can find show notes, our socials, and all the info you need about selection season for Eurovision 2023 on our website at eurowhat.com.
If you would like to help support the show and access a ton of bonus content, head over to patreon.com/EuroWhat.
Next time on the Euro What, Ryan Grizel will stop by to chat about Belgium's selection and what's in store for next week's selection season shows.